Okay, making another video that's probably going to cut me off due to equipment issue. Poppy's coming with me. Ooh, really funky moon. Can you see it? Probably not. Anyway, okay, you hear me not talking? That's because I'm like, geez, should I really talk about this or should I not? That's what I've been going through for the past 2 days. And generally, I figure if it's something that I'm reluctant to talk about, then it's probably something that somebody out there... Can you see his belly? He needs to slim down. Anyway, it's probably something that somebody can relate to. And so it's exactly what I should be talking about. And it's not having to do with being in quarantine. Amazing. It's like regular how to cope with life when you have avoidant personality disorders type stuff. Just this. I had to get my car inspected. Now, I've talked about how I've decided ages ago to live my life. It appears that there's somebody in the car over there. Oh, well, if they're listening to me, they're listening to me. Oh, no, it's not. It's just a reflection. Paranoia. Not really paranoia. It really did look like somebody was sitting in the back of that car. Anyway. So, part of my deal is I really 100% hate debt. I hate that responsibility of having to pay something back. I don't like to look into the future for anything. I don't have any confidence to think that at any point I'm going to be able to have money to pay something back. So, that's just part of my thing. Under the old diagnostic criteria, underemployment was one of the diagnostic criteria for having avoidant personality disorder, and I definitely had that. Now that I've gotten older, I'm like, okay, if I can get away without working, I'm going to get away without working. Why would I, nail myself to the rat race when it's so stressful and I get so little out of it? All I get out of it is some extra money. Who gives a shit? Which I know right now, that's probably really annoying to people. Because the people who do have normal, regular jobs are the ones that lost their jobs. So I'm really sorry if I'm coming off as really insensitive about that. But also because of that, I always presume at any point, like, there is no sort of rescue net for me. I'm going to not have anything, if I'm not doing it for myself. I have nobody to depend on. So this is a kind of stress, it's one or the other. There's people out there who work and they pile up savings and, they've got like $1 million stashed, and that's not enough because they are like, okay, well, if everything went to shit, I would have this money to live on. I'm not that way. But I assume at some point that everything's going to go to shit, and when it does, I don't want to owe anybody. Okay, so this is long and rambling because I'm avoiding what I'm talking about, which is this. So I have a car that is an older car that, here comes a car, speaking of which, and its inspection was due. And I was actually told by somebody, why are you even bothering with this? The state isn't looking at anything. But again, it's a legality thing. I don't want to get stopped. I don't want to give police a reason to stop me. And of course I live in the Northeast. We have a lot of snow and we get a lot of treatment on the ground. Old car, winter in the Northeast United States, eating away at the bottom of my car means I had a lot of work to do on my car, which is no problem. The other thing I've learned over the years, I don't know where my boys are. My boys are right behind me. Oh, that's Percy, he's allowing himself to be filmed a lot. He's also looking up there, and they have foxes. And Poppy, who's my big boy, who needs the walks. Anyway, being a woman by myself, I have definitely been screwed over by mechanics who was like, let's make some money off of this one. So it's kind of a process for me to get my car inspected because I always use 2 mechanics. I go and get it inspected by one, tell them point blank that I'm not getting the work done with you. Give me the list. I'll get it done and come back. And I have another mechanic who does the work. Because I think between the 2 of them, if they're doing counter checks and balances, then it's probably going to be correct. That they will both catch all the problems that need done, and they're not going to add extra stuff. So this actually started last week, because my car was due this month. So last week, I scheduled, with brand new place that I'd never been to before, scheduled an inspection. Got back this whole list of stuff. And actually the guy knew, he could tell, with the I'm not going to have you work on it. He actually brought me under the car and showed me here, and here, this is all the rust. I have no problem with getting it all fixed. So I got the list and called my other guy, and he said, okay, we'll have you in Monday. Thinking it's like $400. Again, no problem right now. I mean, I know last year I was like financially not in a good place. Couldn't work because of what had gone on with my mother. I just was outside of my realm, all the stuff I went through. So I was like out of money. That was last year. This year I am not out of money. So it's like, whatever. I actually thought, oh, maybe it's time to get another car. But I went to the mechanic. He's like, yeah, we can do all that for $400. It's no problem. It's going to take half the day. So Monday morning, I dropped off the car, got a ride back to my house. How stressful is that? And then I started waiting. What is this all triggering? It's triggering me standing up for myself and being assertive. It's triggering me talking to new people that I've not talked to. It's triggering massively me asking people for help, which is even though I'm paying for it, I am asking people for help. It's really, really very, very difficult for me. I know that some people, it's like no problem at all. This is something that, you're paying somebody to do work on your car and it's not a thing. Because this, disorder affects people differently. Like I don't usually have a problem with going grocery shopping, even though I feel judged. And every once in a while, I get that confirmed that people are paying attention. Oh, that's creepy. That light just went off at that house. Light going off, that's better than light going on, though. Anyway, they'll see something. And I actually have never had them ever say anything negative about anything I was buying. But I've had them say positive, like, ooh, where'd you get this? Which means they are doing the judgment. They're judging everything. And they might be like totally neutral on 99% of it. But some of it's going to be bad. You know, some of it they're going to be judgmental. Anyway, whatever. It's still a lot easier for me. I know that some people it's really, really hard to do something like grocery shopping because, and they'll go out of their way. I keep thinking I'm seeing people. Anyway, I mean, it's late. And it's not warm, so it's unlikely there's going to be people out here. Anyway, see, anxiety is peaking. Not actually peaking, it's actually much better than it was. But yeah, getting my car worked on when I truly am dependent on somebody else because I can't, I could change my tires and if push comes to shove, I can do an oil change, although I really don't want to be laying under my car in the muck. But I could do it, but 90%, 99% of what work gets done on my car, I can't do. I have to have somebody else do it. And seriously, it's like, okay, well, I could just go buy a new car. It would be a massive waste of money, but I could go buy a new car and that would make things better. Because I wouldn't have, there is a truck parked basically in the woods where the ghost is. Ooh. Good, that means no ghost. See my cat? In the shadow of the tree. Anyway, yeah. So I was super uber triggered. And, again, I don't want to harass people or anything. But they told me it would take half a day. And I wasn't getting a call back, and I wasn't getting a call back. So I called the mechanic, and they're like, oh, yeah, we're just waiting on a part to come in. Okay. And then at 5:30 in the afternoon, my car's been there since before 8:30. I called and clearly got the guy eating dinner. Like, oh my God. And he's like, yeah, well, we didn't quite get it all done, so we're going to work on it some more tomorrow. And I'm like, oh my God. Last night was so stressful because I felt stuck. Clearly, I live in a very suburban type area. I suppose I could get like an Uber or something like that, but really I'm stuck. If I don't have a car, I'm stuck. I've been in that situation before. When I broke my arm and I couldn't drive, it was horrifying. My son was living at home, but kept running out of things. This was before really, I don't know, maybe Amazon would have been a thing, but it didn't dawn on me. I don't have like any food delivery in my house. We were running out of food. I was running out of pain pills, and I had this, the people who heard me after my wrist broke, especially when the storm come in, it was so painful. They would say that I was keening. It was excruciating. And to go through that without even Tylenol, it was a very bad situation. So, I've been stuck before, and I'm sure that's part of the triggering. Because seriously, I don't need anything for like weeks and weeks because we're in the middle of a pandemic and like everybody else in the world, I have stockpiled food and stuff. Didn't need anything, but not having it just drove me completely nuts. And then, again, the not getting the feedback, trusting some person, it's so unbelievably difficult for me. So finally I get the call this morning. And, the car is ready. And also, much larger bill. It was like $900. Again, compare that to, I was totally, perfectly like, I'm just going to buy a new car right now. So that actually is still far less than what I expected. Especially when I got the list of all the things that needed done. And I went and the guy's like, yeah, and they missed this and this and this on your inspection, so we did these other things. And I'm like, perfect, that's exactly what I wanted. But still, so stressful. So stressful. And then I had to go and get the car re-inspected. So I had to go back to the original guy to have them look at the car, and they went through and they're like, well, we didn't like how this was repaired, and we didn't like this, and we didn't like this. And I'm just like holding my breath going, oh my God, I'm going to have to go back. Come on. I know, I hear something down there too. I think it's an airplane. Anyway, but the guy's like, well, okay, I mean, it's alright. And so he got me my sticker. Can you see the moon? Can't see it. It's really strange. It's like poking through clouds and trees. Anyway. So I'm thinking, the stress is coming down. Meanwhile, for the past day and a half, my son has been calling me, freaking out that what he wants, I can't give him. He wants things that are, he should have been doing on his own for ages ago, and he didn't. He didn't listen to me telling him he needed to do this, and he is very used to me still doing everything for him, and now things that he wanted and needed are closed because of the pandemic. And he's used to being able to snap his fingers and having things done, and they're not being able to be done. Come on, cat. But I did go in and see him, and I did help him in the way I could, and what I did, which was nothing. I mean, okay. Among the things that I did was I went and got a Cadbury egg. I think they were selling them that for $0.25. And gave that to him. And I mean, this is very, very, very literally the thought that counts. That I would do anything at all. And I don't mean like anything as in everything. I mean anything as in... That's definitely a door opening. That I would do something to try to help, even though and he knows, and his kid is coming around. He's not blaming me for things that I have no control over and nothing to do with. I mean, that's a massive improvement. There's my boy. No, the person probably heard me talking. Anyway, so that's kind of stressful because my kid, he sometimes has a hair trigger. It is like walking up to a dragon. Maybe the dragon's going to be nice. Maybe the dragon's going to try and, cook me alive with its fire breathing. Come on. I don't know. So that's stressful too. But as I'm going, I'm starting to hear a rattle in the back of my car. So I just spent $900 something, over 900 on this car. And it's actually doing stuff that it wasn't doing before I had all this work done on it. And I'm like, oh my God. And then also, it was only when I went over bumps. So, of course, I'm thinking, it's got to be nothing. Maybe the trunk is loose. Open up the trunk, look in the back, see if there's anything that's like bopping around. That might be. So there's nothing in the trunk. Close the trunk, make sure it's shut and latched and it's not, popping up and down. And still, I'm going over bumps. And I'm hearing this, and my son was in the car with me, and I'm like, kid, are you hearing this too? This does not sound like my car used to sound, right? He's like, nope, yep, definitely can hear it. It's definitely different. It's definitely worse. I'm like, oh my God. So I had to call a mechanic and say, hey, I'm hearing this. What do you think? And they're like, oh, really? Come bring it right back in. I'm like, but I'm just dying over the idea of it. That I have to point out that there's something wrong with somebody else's work. I mean, there was definitely something wrong with somebody else's work. And still, I wanted to blame myself. I was like, you're not going to be able to hear this. I had like a major, and again, I had a really bad spring, like relapse of the very bad thoughts. I actually went to Starbucks. It's been at least 9 months since I've been to Starbucks. I don't do Starbucks. I went to Starbucks because coffee, I have found, who knows why, this is very individual, for some reason will stop suicidal thoughts, like just stop them cold. And so what you'd usually get is black iced coffee, because that's it. And this time I was just like freaked out, let's put it that way. I also usually don't eat in the morning. This doesn't help me because I go running and I can't run with food in my stomach. Bad things happen. Really bad things happen. My digestive tract says, oh, we're going to get rid of this so that it makes running easier. So that was some of it. So, like, that's pretty bad that I needed coffee and sugar. So I had my little coffee and sugar. And again, I'm like, oh my God, now I have this cup in the car and I'm going to get judged by the mechanic. Oh my God. And I'm driving in because in the city, there's lots of bumps in the road. So I was hearing it really a lot. But as I was driving out of the city on a well-maintained road, no bumps, I wasn't hearing it anymore. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get there and they're not going to hear it. And the stress was unbelievable because I'm like, I'm going to be judged. I'm an idiot. I'm making this stuff up. They're not going to find anything. They're going to think I'm wasting their time. I mean, these are, And then I finally get to the mechanic and he's like, okay, so it's going over bumps, and he's like pushing on the car to make it bounce and stuff. And I'm like, take it for a ride, go over bumps. And maybe you'll hear it. And I was like, oh God. He takes off with the car, and I'm sitting there going, he's not going to hear anything. He's not going to hear anything. He's not going to hear anything. Because, again, it was the area where the roads had been repaired a lot that I was hearing it. It was only a certain kind of, bump. It wasn't like if there was like a little wrinkle in the road or something like that, or going over a manhole cover or something like that. It was only, and it wasn't like smooth things. It was like kind of like frost heave type significant bumps, that's when you could hear it. And I was like, he's never going to find something like that. He's never going to hear this. And so he comes back of the car, and I'm like, hear it? He's like, oh yeah, I hear it. I was like, oh God, thank God. I'm not an idiot. And he's like, yeah, that was the strut that we just put in. And he was like, it's probably, loose bolts or something like that. And he went and tightened something up, and it stopped doing it. And he's like, okay, well, drive on it. And if it's still doing it next Monday, bring it back in and we'll take it apart and really see what it is. So I mean, it didn't take him very long, like 10 or 15 minutes. Oh, the other thing, I don't know, this is kind of like, I feel like I might be patting myself on the back a little bit. I had, earlier, they had worked on my car for a day and a half. So I went out and got them lunch today. I just went and bought a pizza. I mean, come on, that's nothing. I absolutely thrilled them. And then to have to call after that and say, hey, by the way, there's this problem. Which again, he fixed immediately. But still, this is the kind of stress that rips me apart. Because I don't like depending on people. I don't like asking for help. I don't like needing to ask for help. I would rather suffer. I can tell you this. Again, this is like more personal information. I found out years ago that I have bone spurs in my heels. So that should be like plantar fasciitis. I'm told point blank that I should be in pain. And it never bothered me. Well, it's bothering me now. Now, all the things that are what they tell you not to do, like walking, you're not supposed to walk. You're definitely not supposed to run. But for me, the more I'm moving around on it and walking and standing and stuff, the better it doesn't feel good when I start, but then like right now, obviously I'm walking and it's like, I can feel a little bit, but it's not like hurting. If I've been sitting or laying, like I was thinking put my feet up, that would help. I get up and it's like knives straight up into my legs. And if I let my legs dangle, oh my God, it's excruciating. And the other thing is, I think it's a weight thing, I really do. Could be totally not true. But it's worse now. Obviously, if you saw the trips I went on, and you saw the walking and the traveling and everything else I was on, like I said, once I get going, I'm thinking about it now so I can feel it. But generally I don't, and that's why I can go for these runs. And it's like, at some point, I'm going to have to tell a doctor about it before it gets to the point where it can't get fixed. Same with my teeth. I haven't been to a dentist in, 10 years or something. Because I don't ask about it. It's really hard for me to get house repairs because I don't want to ask for help. I'll do it myself. Actually, last weekend, I fixed my toilet. I did it. I learned how to do it. It was acting up for months. And I researched how to fix it. And then I got the tools. And then I got up the gumption. And I fixed it myself. It would have been a lot more convenient for me to just call somebody to come in and do it. it's incredibly difficult for me to ask for help. And I don't know how to handle sort of like the emotional part of that. I don't know, which is, a double whammy of why I'm like video. One, because I'm like admitting something is not good. And two, because I don't have any sort of advice on how to fix the problem. And I feel really bad when I make videos and say, hey, here's this, and I can't tell you how to fix it. I can't tell you any advice on what to do about it. Other than maybe this metaphor of me getting up and walking, getting up and doing it, and getting it over with. It's really bad when you start, and then it kind of gets better. Because now my car's fine, and they're aware of the problem, and if it's not fine, I can call them next Monday, and it will be fine. And they're expecting it, so it won't come out of the blue like, hey, I'm doing a complaint against you. I got an old car, and parts are supposed to fit. But sometimes they don't, and that's just a fact. So, I don't know. So that's my very stressful last 2 days, asking for help and depending on other people to help me. Really, really hard. Damn near impossible. But I had to. If I didn't have an inspection, like one of the problems with my car is a ball joint. The first guy pushed on my tire and it was just like 2 inches it was moving left to right. I probably, if I didn't have an inspection where I had to have something done, I probably wouldn't have seen about it. Because I had noticed the car was sort of slipping. It wasn't turning smoothly. I probably would have waited until the tire fell off the car. Because that's the way I am. If I don't have an absolute, you must do this deadline thing, I don't know what to do about that. I'm aware of it, and I try to be nice to myself. Like I said, I was aware that it was kind of freaking out, so I got a coffee, because I don't drink it very much. Maybe every other week. In March, I was drinking coffee almost every day, but it was bad, period. Normally, I don't drink it.